Hello. I wanted to talk about that Biden "I'm Irish" comment, as well as President Trump. He is still president, whatever the press say. And Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, and Jeremy Corbyn. I'm going to be talking about all four of those men. Because something occurred to me about the Biden comment last night. It was a really good insult to the BBC and great to hear, even though it bodes ill for Britain. However, it won't wake the BBC up from their froth of hatred of Trump and their complete love affair with Biden. They'll hang on to that. They have no sense of reality, those guys. And just to go over it again, Biden, as requested by the reporter, gave the BBC a few, the BBC asked for a few words and Biden gave them 2 or 3, if you're being picky grammatically. And the 3 words were, "I'm Irish." I believe that Biden's great-grandparents on his mother's side came from Ireland. I'm not sure about that, but his connection with Ireland is back at least 2 generations, most likely. That's how Irish he is. According to Wikipedia as well, and I'll put the reference up here, Biden is of English, Irish, and French ancestry. So why didn't he say he was French? Or even English, mind you. Had he done that, I would have felt no swelling of pride on my account. Now, let's talk about Donald Trump. Donald Trump's mother was from Scotland. That's his mother. And you know what? I couldn't even begin to imagine Trump stating as a factor of his identity, "I'm Scottish." No. What Trump would say, what he would always say, is that he's an American, wouldn't he? Trump is proud of being not English or German or Scottish or whatever, but American. And that reminded me of that Sesame Street character, Sam the American Eagle, which was made so much fun of in Sesame Street. Sam the American Eagle was a chauvinistic, humorless, judgmental, ludicrously obtuse character. He never got jokes, and he was filled with a mindless, jingoistic, and preposterous admiration for his own country. Oh, how we laughed. Think about that for a minute. Biden said, "I'm Irish." And then he gave a sly smile. I honestly cannot get. I can't get over the look on that man's face. I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it looked almost demonic to me. Anyway, he says he's Irish. Biden was using the fact that he had some Irish ancestry in order to build up his vote and to stoke some sort of resentment against the British. Obama did that too. Lots of dictators do that. It's a handy political tool for the unscrupulous. You find some group you can define as a common enemy, and then you unite the people in hating that common enemy. But in Biden's case, it wasn't "we're Americans and let's unite against the common enemy," in this case Britain. No, it was "I'm Irish." And that's supposed to say it all. I have to point out that this declares war on the rest of America that isn't Irish. Or to put it another way, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Irish. But that's the Biden thing, isn't it? He's not American. He's Irish, even though he's Irish only in a Sean King sort of way. And like Sean King, this appeals to the American coastal wokerati who hate being American. And of course, that's why it appeals to the BBC chattering classes over here as well. They hate being British, and they have done for many years. It's sort of interesting because Boris Johnson won his election because he would have no problem in referring to himself as British or English with pride. His grandfather was a Turk, you know, but he'd never ever refer to himself as Turkish. And that's possibly why he got so much of a vote from the working classes here in Britain, because they appreciate being British, whereas Jeremy Corbyn didn't. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that Jeremy Corbyn would have been scouring his ancestry looking for some evidence of a tenuous link to an ethnic minority that he could make use of. Because if there's one thing almost everyone in the Labour Party is thoroughly ashamed of, it's being British. They have a politician among their ranks called David Lammy, by the way. He makes his living telling Brits they should be ashamed of themselves. And of course, media hyenas like the BBC just lap it up, and there are people like David Lammy on their talk shows every Monday and Thursday. George Orwell noticed that tendency among certain sorts of the British intelligentsia in the 1930s, so it's been going on a long time, and he wrote about it in several of his articles and essays. He also said, and it's still the case, that the English and British working class will say they're proud to be British. And for that, they get nothing but the deepest contempt from their self-appointed lords and masters in the mediocrity. So Trump calls himself an American, while Biden calls himself an Irishman. I wonder if this self-hatred has anything to do with aging empires. But whatever, neither the British nor the US coastal intellectuals can stomach that sort of patriotism. Now, in Britain, we have at least some balance because the working classes are proud of being British, and so is the royal family and the aristocracy by whom they're surrounded. However, in America, you don't have an aristocracy, so all you have is the working class being patriotic. And that's why the working class are going to suffer under the Biden administration. Trump was supposed to be, I mean, that's his thing, isn't it? To be for the working classes. But that's because he's proud to be an American. He can do that, truly, without lying about it. But that sort of frank admiration for his own country and its people just sticks in the craw of the sophisticated wokerati. Trump is an American, and he says so with pride. Boris is British, and he says that with pride. And that's just what they can't stand. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.